Good, happy Thursday evening, January 2nd, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. We have a lot of news to get to this Thursday evening, so let's get started. First up, man sentenced to prison after admitting to sexually assaulting girls. Prosecutors say victims were 8 and 10.
Out the door when it matters most. For more than a decade, he's been right there, everywhere. And when American jobs are on the line, he leads the charge. ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast, and we thank you.
Mike, the nature of these crimes were so horrific that the prosecutor had to take a moment to compose herself as she outlined them for the court, and another attorney left the court saying she just couldn't listen anymore. 29-year-old Brian Matthews victims, who were known to him, were 8 and 10 years old at the time of these sexual assaults. Now, assaults taking place over a year, starting in April of 2018. They continued until one of the girls revealed what was happening to a school official. The investigation showing that the girls were assaulted in Matthews' apartment numerous times. Now, the plea bargain called for him to serve 25 to 50 years in state prison. However, he can also get 5 years off the minimum sentence by successfully completing sex offender counseling.
Because the defendant in this case did plead guilty and took responsibility for the charges that he was facing, those victims will not need to testify in a trial.
Now, the judge noted that fact in accepting the plea bargain, saying it does spare the young victims the trauma of having to testify. The judge also commended the victims for showing up in court, adding that she knows it wasn't easy, but it was important that they be here. Now, when Matthew is released, he will have to register as a sex offender. Also will not be allowed to have any unsupervised contact with anyone under the age of 16 or the victims. Reporting live in Manchester, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Democratic Marianne Williamson lays off campaign staff nationally and including New Hampshire. Financial issues focus spiritual author lecture to drastically scale back her unorthodox presidential campaign. Democratic Julian Castro drops out of 2020 presidential race. Former HUD secretary to let go of all New Hampshire staffers in November. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
The field of Democratic presidential candidates is now smaller. Former Obama administration housing secretary Julian Castro has dropped out of the race. Castro's announcement coming after he failed to gain enough support, both financially and in the polls, to be part of the last few presidential debates. Castro promising his supporters to keep fighting for America where it counts.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Four sent to hospital after ice flies off truck, smashes vehicle's windshield. Let's take a listen to that video from WCVB Boston.
Experience might and majesty on the Nile. Step inside ancient Nubia now at the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, and discover the treasures and tombs of an ancient empire that once ruled the Nile Valley. On view through January 20th.
Ben and Emily, the driver of that pickup truck, suffered facial lacerations, and a 3-year-old boy was also hurt. The Burlington fire chief says this could have been a lot worse.
We see this too often in our business.
This shattered windshield, caused by a flying sheet of ice, injured a family of 4 inside the pickup truck. They were on Route 3 North in Burlington around 11:30 this morning when a large amount of ice dislodged off the top of a truck traveling ahead of them.
It became apparent that a large chunk of ice had come off a 18-wheel box truck and struck the roof and windshield of the vehicle.
A 40-year-old Newton man behind the wheel and a 3-year-old passenger were hurt.
The driver, who was the male, sustained non-life-threatening facial injuries, and one of the children also had a laceration to the cheek.
Another driver on Route 3 saw what happened and followed the box truck, helping state police track down the culprit in Chelmsford. It's an incident the fire chief in Burlington says could have been a lot worse.
To ensure that you completely clear snow and ice from your roofs, your windshields, your hoods, your trunks, these are absolutely incidents that, in my opinion, are preventable.
The state police say the moving truck driver is a 55-year-old man from Litchfield, New Hampshire. He was driving a moving truck out of a company called Diggins and Rose out of Hudson, New Hampshire. He told investigators he had no idea there was ice on top of the truck, and he was issued some warnings. Live in Burlington, Sarah Conji, WCVB News Center 5.
All right, Sarah.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Maine man accused of shooting police officer ordered held on $1 million bail. Let's take a listen to that video from WMTW News 8 Maine.
For more than 40 years, Steve Minnick has covered the news. Trusted reporting in Maine and storytelling on people, places, and products from Maine. This Saturday night, join Maine storyteller for Total Maine. The locals that make up the great state of Maine. Original creations and works of art sold around the world. And living life in Maine the way it should be. Total Maine with Steve Minnick. Saturday night on Maine CW.
Been accused of shooting a Waterville police officer is being held on $1 million bail. Richard Murray Burns making his first court appearance today. He had been in the hospital until yesterday. Authorities say Murray Burns shot Officer Timothy Hinton in both arms when Hinton stopped him for a shoplifting report. Murray Burns then drove away and Hinton took off after him. He was eventually stopped in Canaan and was taken to a Bangor hospital after that shootout.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Thursday evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for all of you for this Thursday evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the green, went up. Your Nasdaq closed in the green, went up. S&P 500 closed in the green, went up. Gold closed in the green, went up. Oil closed in the green, went up. U.S. 10-year closed in the red, went down. Euro/USD closed in the green and went up. And VIX closed in the red and went down. Dow jumps 300 points to start 2020, continuing last year's big rally. Stocks rose to all-time highs on Thursday, led by tech shares as the strong rally in 2019 continued in the first trading day of the new year. Dramatic images from massive fires in Australia. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Devastating fires in Australia, killing at least 18 people, forcing tens of thousands from their homes. Now, many of those residents, as well as tourists, are seeking shelter now from those flames on beaches. Our Maggie Rulli is there for us in Australia. Good morning, Maggie.
TJ, with fire danger expected to increase into the weekend today, crews were out there trying to get the upper hand. Firefighters here tell us that they were able to contain a large fire just up the road, even stopping it from jumping across a busy street. A week-long state of emergency declared this morning in parts of Australia. Thousands fleeing as more than 200 fires rage in two of Australia's most populated states, killing at least 18 people. Firefighters driving through the inferno, shielding their windows with blankets as the flames engulf their vehicle.
When we were in there, in the thick of it, we thought that this could be it.
In the south, some families are trapped on the beach as the fires surround them on all sides. The Australian Navy is now stepping in, delivering aid to those waiting to evacuate. The wildfires are also burning through much of Australia's precious ecosystem, killing an estimated 500 million animals and threatening countless others.
He's so thirsty.
Like this koala found fighting for his life.
Here he is, here. This is Paul.
He's recovering at the koala hospital and even has a name, Paul. He was the first to be rescued from these fires, but dozens followed.
It's really going to set back the koalas who are already in serious decline.
But it's little ones like Paul that make the researchers here keep fighting. Both researchers at the koala hospital and firefighters here tell us that they've been working in this region for decades and they have never seen anything like this. Guys?
Just imagine the massive size of that.
Trying to put that into scale, 12 million acres, they said, is bigger than the states of Connecticut and New Jersey combined.
Wow.
Unbelievable. All right, thank you.
Hi.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all enjoyed watching. Have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and bye, everyone.